don't get mad when Tess does something and people in the theater are like, no! I love that. That's good.
There's a lot of like, never mind, just kidding throughout the movie. I think that was one of the things that I think attracted us both to the script.
I think she's much braver and like more heroic than me. Like it gets to a point where it's like, just go.
Georgina, Justin, hi. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure.
Barbarian, girl, I was not ready at all.
This process might seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it can soon become a pleasurable experience.
Justin, my first question is actually for you. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to apologize for on behalf of your character?
Many things, because he didn't have the courage to do it. He was not accountable himself. And there was a moment where I thought he would be, and then he just completely nullifies that accountability.
I mean, there was definitely that moment where I think everybody was thinking that this guy is going to have his like retribution moment. And then it's just like, oh, okay, never mind, just kidding.
Well, does a lot of that. Zach, the writer-director, does a lot of like, never mind, just kidding throughout the movie. I think that was one of the things that I think attracted us both to the script, was that it was just totally played with your expectations about a lot of these horror tropes and even comedic devices. The way he used his comedy to subvert a lot of the expectations is so fun, so cool.
Fantastic. Georgina, your character Tess is a badass, strong woman. I mean, but she makes a lot of really questionable choices, at least to me. Like, if this was me in the movie, it would have been over before it even started. So I guess my first question for you is...
Would you not have walked in? Would you not have gone into...
Honey, no.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
This is 476 Barbary, right?
Yeah, I'm renting this place.
No, I booked it a month ago.
Why don't you come inside and we'll call these idiots.
You know, Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Come on.
You're right. Okay, so there.
What if it was Alex Skarsgård?
I mean, either of them, really, I would have been fine. But I forgot about that element. But I'm curious how things would be different if Georgina was in this situation.
Yeah, to be fair, I probably wouldn't have gone in, even if it was Bill Skarsgård. I probably would have been like, oh my God, Bill Skarsgård, what are you doing here? I do think that the way that it's written, there's lots of reasons that she kind of gets forced into a corner and feels like she has to keep going, and she has to, she's trying to get out of scenarios, keeps getting pushed back. But I think she's much braver and like more heroic than me. Like it gets to a point where it's like, just go.
Definitely. And that's what I was rooting for. Like most times I'm just, girl, just drive away. Let him go. Are either of you familiar with this phenomenon called frogging? I'm not sure if you've seen this show on Lifetime.
I feel like I recognize it, but I'm not sure. What is
it? Across the street?
People like stay in your house, right?
Yeah, someone's hiding inside of your house while you're living there, but you have no idea that it's happening.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
Where's this being done?
in a lot of places, apparently. It's terrifying. So I got a lot of those vibes from this movie, and I was just like, oh, now I need to check every room in my house, make sure that there's no crazy lady hanging out. Just like,
I mean, there's a word for that. I thought it was just like squatters, like squatting.
No, these are people that generally have other types of intentions as well. So
honestly, the flat that I live in I live in London, and I live in the tiniest little flat ever. So I feel like it would be very hard to frog my flat. Like
Don't challenge anyone.
Right.
As a lover of frogs, I'm offended on that behalf. I don't think that word should be misappropriated.
So in this film, there's a lot of like cavernous hallways, which sort of reminded me of like those Halloween haunted houses that you go to when you go to a theme park.
I hate those. I hate those things. People jumping out at you with the chainsaw. I hate those. Yeah.
So
Georgie, not Scary Farms.
Yeah, I went to there's one that they do in Ireland. I was in Ireland for a job, and we went to, and it was like, oh, it was so sketch, but it was so cool. It was like in the middle of nowhere. They had like these warehouses. The way that they had like advertised it was like, oh, last year we had 7 panic attacks. There were like paramedics around. Like you go into the warehouses, there's no one in there, so you're like, there's no like beep here or buzz this if you're getting scared. Stuck in there, it was crazy. And then they say stuff like, don't touch anyone, no one's allowed to touch you. They were touching, they were running around, people were pushing you. They didn't care.
Oh my God.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Barbarian was fantastic, and I can't wait for everybody to see it.
It was so nice to talk to you.
I appreciate it. Hey, Zach. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about this baby of yours.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So my first question for you is, who hurt you?
My dad.
Amazing answer. I mean, I feel like that's most people's answers, honestly. So this movie like perfectly exemplifies the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, did you set out with that in mind when you were creating it?
No. I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, I think I was writing the movie that people think they're going to see when they watch the trailer, you know? So I was just kind of trying to surprise myself, honestly.
What I will say is that I will never look at a nursing mother the same way again. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Where do these ideas sort of come from? What's it like in like a regular day in your mind?
I mean, a regular day in my mind is probably not too dissimilar from most people's minds. As I think about myself a whole lot and what I want.
Fair.
You know, the idea for this movie came from a book I'd read called The Gift of Fear that was encouraging women to pay more heed to the little invisible red flags that men can throw up in day-to-day interactions. And that was really the impetus for this.
Interesting. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, you get that vibe. It is like a tale of female empowerment. I mean, while Tessa's character makes a lot of choices that I think are questionable,
sure.
I think she makes choices that are from a place of confidence and strength.
Yeah, you might not agree with her choices, but it was important to me that you believe that she would make them.
You can scream at your television all you want. Like,
yeah. I don't get mad when Tess does something and people in the theater are like, no, I love that. You know, that's good.
That's the right reaction. That's how you know you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So the mother character is absolutely terrifying.
Thank you.
I'm very curious how that came about.
I didn't know the mother existed until I literally typed her. Now, as for the design, there was a Beowulf children's book that I had when I was a little kid, and it was this illustrated Beowulf book, and there was this ink drawing of Grendel's mother that just really scared me. And so that stuck with me forever. And so when it was time to design this creature, I was just like, do this. And that's what it was.
That's amazing. I can totally see how that's where that would come from.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of an obscure question, but are you a gamer by any chance?
Big time. Major.
Okay.
How do you know that?
Some of the POV shots were very reminiscent of survival horror games like Outlast and Resident Evil.
Sure.
And I was actually really impressed with them because a lot of times when people do those POV shots, they like, it feels like someone's wearing like a pack and it doesn't feel like kind of like it flows right. But when, Justin's character was walking with the knife and the flashlight, it was A+. How did you achieve that?
There's a device, it's called a Movi. And what it is you can detach the lens from the camera. So the lens is connected with a fiber optic cable. So you have maximum agility. So we basically were able to put the lens like where his face is. So that when he's holding his arms out, you could never do it with a camera because it would be in his head. But we could put the lens in the right spot. So it really did feel like a true POV. I really love that shot. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it definitely stuck with me. So, and I'm also a gamer. Is survival horror your genre or is it something else completely?
I like survival horror a lot. My genre is the Souls games. So like the Demon Souls and Elden Ring and Dark Souls.
I tried Elden Ring. It was the first one I jumped into and I just could not. Is there any importance to the snake symbolism in Tessa's car? You have the snake charm that's hanging from her rearview mirror, and you show it twice. And I noticed that you have a symbol for Ouroboros on your arm while you were talking. I also have one under my arm, but
look at us!
Yeah.
All right, siblings.
So, yeah.
No is the short answer, but there's a lot in this movie that came subconsciously. And of course, we play with the snake visual a lot with the Tess character. That was not intentional. I'll tell you, that wasn't. But there's a lot in this movie that wasn't intentional, and there's a lot of parody and connected dots that I might not have been consciously aware of, but they do exist. So I'm gonna kind of plead the fifth on it, even though I talked a lot. Usually when people plead the fifth, they don't talk so much. That's my style.
I mean, there was something there, so it's good. Okay. We're all good.
Yeah.
Well, I am so excited to add this to my Mother's Day collection for next year. So
okay, great, good.
Much about it. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me. It's been really, really fun. I can't wait.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Zach.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
This is 476 Barbary, right?
Yeah, I'm renting this place.
No, I booked it a month ago.
Are you sure you have the right place?
Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
Why don't you come inside? I don't know if you got a great look at this neighborhood, but I don't think you should be out there by yourself. You take the bedroom, and I'll sleep out here on the couch.
Sunshine through.
Keith? This process might seem overwhelming, but with a little practice, it can soon become a pleasurable experience. This is perfectly natural.